A new year can be full of excitement, a fresh start, and planning for what's next. If getting pregnant, conceiving is on your goals for the next year, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to go over 5 things to focus on for your fertility to help you meet that goal. Let's get started. I'm Dr. Laura Shaheen. I'm a double board certified OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist, helping people build families for over 20 years. And I know that a new year can be exciting and a fresh new start. I'm often seeing patients in the new year saying, this year is the year for me to get pregnant, and I'm looking for help. I'm looking for testing. I'm looking for advice. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. I love educating. If this is your first time finding this channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you get my weekly videos all about reproductive health. There are 2 other ways to stay in touch. Number 1 is my Baby or Bust Fertility podcast. Every week, I have episodes that come out with interviews with experts in the field or in-depth discussions on really important topics. The other way to stay in touch is to sign up for my weekly newsletter, where you get information about fertility in the news, educational content, and recommendations. You can sign up for the weekly newsletter in the link in the description. Today, we are going to focus on 5 fertility tips that you can start now in the new year to meet your goal. Number 1, we're going to go over nutrition. Number 2, tracking ovulation and timing when you're trying to conceive. Number 3, stress management and mental health focus. Number 4, lifestyle optimization. Overall health and well-being can help your reproductive health. And finally, topic number 5, we're going to talk about when to see a fertility specialist. Stick around to the end of the video, where I will list 5 common mistakes I see patients make when they're trying to conceive. And I want you to avoid these mistakes so that you meet your goal sooner. Topic number 1, optimizing your nutrition. You are what you eat. Within reason, I want you to focus on overall healthy choices for your nutrition, and that will only help your reproductive health. I have multiple videos here in the playlist under lifestyle optimization that talk about specifics with food choices and fertility diets. But there's 3 main points I want you to think about when you're thinking about your nutrition and your kind of goals for the new year. Number 1, increase foods with antioxidants. Antioxidants are so helpful with cell turnover. And if you are making eggs, you're making sperm, you are increasing cell turnover. And the presence of free radicals when your cells are trying to replicate and use DNA and separate and combine chromosomes, the fewer free radicals and the fewer oxidative stress on these cells that you have, the better they are going to function. So foods that are high in antioxidants can be very helpful for your fertility. These can include berries, nuts, and leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale. Very, very helpful. Think antioxidants when you're optimizing and choosing your food in the new year. Number 2, incorporate healthy fats. So healthy fats are heavy in omega-3 fatty acids. You want to optimize those, but decrease trans fats. Trans fats are ones that often are used to increase shelf life from processed foods like baked goods. Think about like shortening. Think about fried foods. They have a lot of trans fats. Trans fats can be really hard on your cells and your reproductive health, whereas omega-3 fatty acids from things like fish, like salmon, walnuts are amazing, chia seeds. So high omega-3 fats and low trans fats are something that you can focus on. And point number 3, focus on less processed foods and more whole foods when you're thinking about your diet. You know, this is within reason. All of these things that I'm talking about, I'm on the 80-20 fertility plan. If 80% of the time you can choose less processed foods and more fresh whole foods, that is perfection. The more processed foods are, the more likely they're going to have trans fats, the less likely they're going to have a lot of the vitamins and nutrients that are really important about food. And the more processed foods are, the more exposed they are to plastics and endocrine disruptors, just in the processing and the packaging and all the things that it takes to get a food, you know, from the farm to the package in the grocery store, a lot of that can remove a lot of the nutrients. So again, packaged foods are easy. It's a part of kind of a quick weeknight meal sometimes, but just more of the non-processed foods, less of processed foods, and you're going to improve your overall health and you're going to improve your reproductive health. Topic number 2, tracking your cycles and your ovulation. If you are trying to conceive, if you're thinking about trying to conceive, it's never too soon to figure out your own cycle. Less than 25% of people actually have a 28-day menstrual cycle. We hear about that all the time because it fits very neatly on our calendar, 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a month, 28-day cycles. But a lot of people have different variations. Some people, they're pretty consistently 25 days. Other people, they're pretty consistently 32 days. And figuring out your cycle can be really helpful. You can just write it in an old-fashioned calendar. You can use one of the fertility apps to kind of keep track, but figuring out your cycle is really helpful. And then figuring out when you ovulate, you can start to learn about your body and feel the changes. You know, sometimes people will feel increased cervical mucus. Sometimes they'll feel, other changes like as they're getting ready for their period, sore breasts, mood changes, things like that. Get in sync with your cycle so that you can learn, because you are more likely to get pregnant if you can figure out when you're ovulating and optimize trying to conceive during that time. A lot of times people just stop a birth control method and then 6 months later they realize, like, I have no idea if I have regular menstrual cycles. I have no idea when to time trying to conceive. And so if you're planning on this now or in the near future, learn about your body, learn about your cycles. I have so much educational content here on how to figure out if you're ovulating. I've got a video that's like, how do you know you're ovulating? And I've got so many resources because I really want to help you understand your ovulation, understand your cycle, because that will decrease your time to getting pregnant and you'll waste less time. It's also important, if you have irregular and unpredictable cycles, to see a doctor, figure that out sooner rather than later, and not waste precious time. There are tools out there. Ovulation predictor kits can be helpful. Basal body temperature taking can be helpful. Again, apps can be helpful. More just like tracking. An app can't tell you if you're ovulating. Sometimes they pretend that they can, but it's based on other people's data. You really got to learn your body and your cycle. Topic number 3, prioritize mental health and emotional wellness. Which comes first, stress or infertility? Who knows, because they are so intertwined. If it is taking somebody longer and longer to conceive, the stress levels just start to skyrocket. And we cannot eliminate stress. We have stress with personal interactions, with work interactions. If you're adding infertility into the mix, that can be stressful. And I'm not saying that you're trying to start to conceive and you're automatically going to have infertility and have stress, but it is never too soon to focus on stress management tips. Find out what is right for you. Find out what brings you joy, whether it is taking time to read a book on the weekends, taking long walks, time with friends, time with a pet, special weeknight or weekend time with your partner, if you have one, really focusing on your mental health and wellness. If you are working through things, finding a therapist sooner rather than later can be really helpful. I have so many resources on stress and fertility, whether it's YouTube content on stress and infertility, I go through the data, whether it's some of my podcast episodes where I'm going through strategies and talking to experts about what is right for you. I am just saying it is never too soon to start working on finding what is right for you. And I really, really want to wish that for you in the new year, because if you are having a difficult time conceiving, you're going to have tools that'll help you manage and help you find the right support for you. Some tips: you can do things like, number 1, practicing mindfulness. Now, it could be meditation. I get intimidated when people talk about meditation because I'm like, oh, I just can't quiet my mind. But mindfulness is just being aware of your surroundings. Mindfulness is taking time to just be quiet, taking time to journal, think about intentions. Mindfulness can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Number 2, I think about physical activity, getting outside, going for a walk, going for a hike, taking your dog for a walk, yoga, Stretching, Pilates is something that I personally love. Yoga is something I personally love. You just want to find something that is physically moving and healing and a true joy for you. And then number three, like I talked about, really finding that support, whether it is support group online, whether it's girlfriends, you can just make regular days to go out and see each other and just commiserate and have fun, or a one-on-one therapist. And finding that support system is so key for your overall health and well-being. Topic number four, lifestyle optimization. This is a big topic, but it's important to look at your habits. You want to quit some habits and you want to start some new ones. Things that you should quit: smoking and vaping. Not beneficial at all for your reproductive health or your overall health. So quit smoking, quit vaping. That's a really important habit to eliminate if you are trying to conceive, whether you've got eggs or sperm. Modify alcohol. Alcohol is a huge part of our social fabric. There's not a lot of health benefits from drinking alcohol. And certainly if you're drinking daily and heavily, that can impact your overall reproductive health, again, whether you have eggs or sperm. And so just in moderation, and just be really thoughtful about alcohol. Similar recommendation for marijuana or cannabis. I think there's an overall societal assumption that because it's a plant and it's grown out of the ground, that marijuana or cannabis are healthy and shouldn't impact our reproductive health, but studies really show that it does. So talk to your doctor about what's right for you, but really minimal use if you're doing it, and something to really modify if that's a regular thing for you. Exercising in moderation. I think of the Goldilocks recommendation for exercise: not too much and not too little, and somewhere right in between. So when you're trying to conceive, it's not the right time to train for an Ironman or train for a marathon if you've never done something like that. Like if you are in shape and that is a part of your everyday life, then it's probably okay, but talk to your doctor. But it's just not the time to really push your body to a physical extreme, because if you're shifting to super high endorphin rush, cortisol levels, that's going to shift your body away from reproduction. So, but I also don't want you to be completely sedentary. I think moving your body on a regular basis, at least 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week at a minimum, is really beneficial. It helps with hormone levels. It helps with mental health. It gives you energy to kind of make healthy food choices. It helps with your sleep habits. Sleep is so important. So just kind of, moving your body, exercising, but not to extremes. And I mentioned it right now. I'm going to say it again: prioritize sleep. Sleep is so important. It's where our body resets. It's the circadian rhythm is important for hormonal health. Really think about trying to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, making your pre-bedtime routine something that's quiet, without screens, maybe a little bit of stretching, a quiet room, a dark room. I've got a whole video on YouTube totally about prioritizing sleep and how important it is for your reproductive health. Another lifestyle optimization is really decreasing your exposure to endocrine disruptors. I talked a little bit about this with nutrition and kind of decreasing processed foods. That's one of the goals. But looking at your beauty products, looking at your laundry detergent, decreasing products with a lot of strong scents will decrease your exposure to phthalates. Decreasing the use of plastics in your kitchen will decrease your exposure to bisphenol A or BPA. BPA, phthalates, parabens, PFAS, all of these things make incredible products that have really made our lives so much easier. But there's a consequence to how much of these chemicals are in our daily household products and exposures that can really impact our egg health, our sperm health, and our pregnancy health. I have lots of information, whether it's on my website and my blog, on the podcast with interviews that I've done, or other YouTube content, really talking about limiting toxins, again, within reason. So 80-20 plan, like if 80% of your products are a little bit lower exposure on a lot of these things, you are doing great. I really hope that that can be helpful. Topic number 5, if getting pregnant in the new year is your goal, you've got to know when to see a fertility specialist. So important to realize and kind of understand how long it takes to get pregnant. I think that we are not well educated in middle school and high school health class. We're sort of, at least my experience was fear about how easy it is to get pregnant when you don't want to, and thinking about like contraception or abstinence or things like that. And then it allows, without education, it allows you to assume, oh, okay, well, when I stop contracepting or I'm actively trying to conceive, it's going to be easy because that's what was taught to me in middle school and high school. And it is for some people. Some people do get pregnant. About 60% of people get pregnant within the first 3 cycles of actively trying, but a lot of people don't. So you got to know when to ask for testing, when to see a fertility specialist. In general, if you are under the age of the eggs or under the age of 35, the recommendation is to try for about a year. And if you're 35 or older, the recommendation is to try for about 6 months before you get testing. Personally, I don't think anybody should have to wait a whole year to get testing. I think it makes a ton of sense to make sure you're not missing anything. I would think if you've really been trying for about 3 to 6 months, you're having regular, predictable cycles, it's okay to make an appointment and kind of get testing. You could certainly go to your primary care doctor or your OBGYN for that initial testing. But I also want to make sure that you realize that most primary care doctors and most OBGYNs do not specialize in fertility. It is what I do as a reproductive endocrinologist day in and day out. And so if you get that initial testing and everything seems great, awesome, wonderful. But if you're still not getting pregnant with another 3 to 6 months, then it's time to see a specialist like me to really review, make sure you've gotten all the testing done, anatomy, blood work, semen analysis. Don't forget the semen analysis. It's the most high value test that we can do. Up to 50% of the time, there's a male factor part of an infertile couple, and it is so inexpensive. It's usually less than $100, maybe less than $200. Do not assume that the sperm is okay. Anyway, so just think about, as you're planning your new year, you're looking at your goals and your timelines, think about, okay, if I'm not pregnant by this date, I'm going to go ahead and make an appointment and make sure that my testing is okay. And that is going to help you figure things out and not waste time. Just because you see a fertility specialist doesn't mean that you have to do something high tech like IVF. You're just making sure that you're not missing anything and you get good counseling for your personal situation. When I see someone that's starting to try to conceive, I want to make sure that we've got eggs, that we've got sperm, that we're ovulating, that the anatomy is okay. And then I want to talk to those patients about their family goals. If I'm seeing someone who is over the age of 38 and they really want to have 2 kids, we might get aggressive sooner rather than later. It's that type of discussion that's really, really important. Let's recap. If the goal for you is to get pregnant in the new year, there's 5 things that we really focused on. We focused on nutrition, tracking ovulation and learning about your cycles. Number 3, stress management and mental health focused. Number 4, lifestyle optimization, habits you should quit and habits that you should focus on. And finally, number 5, we went over when to see a fertility specialist. Now, I'm glad you stuck around to the end of this because I want to go over 5 common mistakes that I see, and I don't want you to make these mistakes as you are focused on getting pregnant in this year. Mistake number 1, assuming that fertility is a female issue. Men matter. And I mentioned it before, but if you had to choose one fertility test with a couple, get a semen analysis because you don't want to miss a low sperm count as the cause of infertility. It is really frustrating for patients that go to see a doctor and they're completely assuming and focused on the female as the issue. And they've been trying for a year, and I'm seeing them as a second, third, fourth opinion, and someone has not gotten a semen analysis. Do not let that happen. Mistake number 2, not realizing that irregular and unpredictable menstrual cycles can be a sign of irregular and unpredictable ovulation. If you are not having about a monthly cycle on a predictable level, and it doesn't have to be exactly 28 days. There's a little bit of variation. Sometimes people are 25 days, and then the next cycle, it's a 29-day, or there's variation is okay. But if you are not having about a monthly cycle, get testing sooner rather than later, because if you're not ovulating, you're going to waste precious time when you're trying to conceive. Mistake number three, misusing tools that are out there to help you get pregnant. Now, what I'm talking about is maybe doing ovulation predictor kits and they're just never turning positive for you and you just sort of assume that you're not ovulating. Maybe they aren't working for you. Or another common mistake is fertility apps. So, depending on the fertility app, a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, I'm ovulating on this day. And it's just the app assuming that everyone has a 28-day cycle. And so that means that everybody ovulates on cycle day 14, just the middle of the cycle. But you know what? If you've got like a 25-day cycle, you could be ovulating on cycle day 10. If you've got a 32-day cycle, you could be ovulating on, cycle day 22 or something like that. And so don't assume that the fertility app is going to tell you when to try. You have to learn your own body in a more accurate way to figure out timing and when you're ovulating. Mistake number four, assuming that your present fertility is the same as your past fertility. I see a lot of people that conceive very easily the first time that they try. Beautiful pregnancy, baby, they're ready to try for baby number two. It's not happening as easily, but they really delay getting testing and treatment because their narrative is that it's easy for them to conceive. I also see partners who have had pregnancies or children with previous partners, and then they assume, well, I'm still fertile because I've had a baby before. This happens a lot. I see a lot of times, not to focus so much on people with sperm or men, but a lot of times people say, hey, I've got 2 kids from a previous marriage. I know my sperm is fine. But you know what? Things can change. So don't assume that your present fertility reflects from your past fertility. Get testing. Mistake number 5 is just waiting too long to see a fertility specialist. Just don't put it off, make the appointment. And I tell people, I'm so happy if you cancel your appointment with me because you are pregnant. I'd rather have it ready to go and meet with you, counsel, make sure everything is okay, and not keep putting off making that appointment. I hope this was helpful. I'm wishing you the best on your new year and your plan for starting your family or adding to your family. I hope this was helpful. Like this video if you learned something. Comment with questions that you might have. Be sure and subscribe to this channel so you get my weekly videos all about reproductive health. And until next week, wishing you love, luck, and pineapples.